All right, Nate Burleson, one of our good buddies, a very busy man. NFL Today on CBS, Nickelodeon, NFL Network analyst, CBS morning host, and former NFL wide receiver. And I don't know if there's another guy who's ever played in the NFL who played in a playoff game with the Lions, the Seahawks, and the Vikings. Nate Burleson joins us now. Are you the only man who's ever played in the NFL who's played in playoff games for those three teams?
I might be. I don't know if that says a lot about me as a talent or a lot about the fact that I played for multiple teams throughout my 11-year career. But either way, though, I'm thankful that I actually had a chance to taste the playoffs because we know a lot of guys that balled out in this league that never got to the postseason. But I'm glad to be here. It's good to see you again. I'm upset that I can't do it in person, but thank you for having me on.
How are the kids?
They're good. The kids are doing good. I have two older boys who are in high school playing varsity basketball together. They just finished varsity football together. And if you check out my IG,
I saw it yesterday.
Oh!
I saw Dad going crazy when one of your sons went in for a backdoor cut and dunked.
Yeah, so I was doing what the kids do, which is head top. He caught a body, as they like to say. And he climbed the ladder and shoved it down. Listen, I get it. There's parents that are there to casually enjoy the game. That ain't me. I am going to show up and show out for my boy, especially when he shocks the gym like that. And they shocked one of the best teams in Jersey. So I had a good time watching.
Is he playing basketball or football in college?
The wild thing is, he chose to play wide receiver. He's 6'3", pure shooter, and as you can see, he got hops. But he thought to himself, 6'3", wide receiver, as long as I improve in college and put some strength on, I'll have a chance to go to the league. Here's the twist in his decision to go to the University of Nevada and play wide receiver. One of the coaches there for the football team said, look, we know you're one of the top shooters in Jersey. You can play basketball here if you want. I think at that point, he said, oh, they must really want me if they said I can play two sports in college.
I like that.
Yeah.
What conversation did you have with your sons about what happened in Cincinnati Monday night?
It was a tough conversation. I'll take you inside the kitchen. I'm sitting there. This is maybe an hour after it all went down. And we're talking about Damar Hamlin and his family. And we're just praying and sending good vibes, crossing our fingers, just hoping that we get good news sooner than later. My wife is sitting there and she just kind of projects into the air, this is why it's tough to watch our kids play football. This is why I don't want them to play football. My 16-year-old, who is 6'4", 200, tight end, DN, he loves the sport. And he paused for a second. He said, Mom, I'm going to play football. And then he followed it by saying, this is a rarity. It doesn't happen often. And, in that moment, when my wife said that, there was two sides of me. One side fully agreed with her and validated her feelings because part of me felt that way. But then there was another side of me, and just being honest and transparent with me. I thought to myself, man, this is what we sign up for. Not necessarily that. I'm not talking about Damar Hamlin being on the ground, medics coming out, performing CPR, not that part of it. But injuries, no matter where on the spectrum they fall, everything from your run-of-the-mill sprained ankle to concussions, broken bones, and torn ligaments. We sign up for all of that.
Nate, I say this to my audience usually a couple of times a year, at least once a year. If you stood on the sidelines of an NFL game, you would never let your son play football because the sounds, the speed, football doesn't do it justice.
It doesn't. When you're watching it at home, even with the microphones and the 4K cameras, it doesn't really put it into perspective until you're watching it in person. I remember being removed from the game and going into retirement and just doing studio work for like the first 2 or 3 years. And I finally went to a game. It took me about 3 years to go to a game, sit on the sideline, and work as a sideline reporter for the NFL Network. Now, I remember being there with some people I work with, and I looked over and I said, man, these guys are big and fast and strong, and these hits. And one of them looked at me like with this wild facial expression. I said, bro, you used to do that. What are you
Yeah.
talking about? And for a quick second, I forgot that I was one of those guys who went out there and put everything on the line because they did get so much bigger and faster and stronger since the last time I played. I'll give you another story. And I don't want to hit you with too many stories. I want to answer every question you throw my way. But I remember my second year in the league. I got banged up pretty good. This is Minnesota Vikings, Nate. Black and blue division, NFC North. And the OGs, the vets, they were saying whenever you play within this division, teams like Green Bay, the Lions, especially Chicago, they call it black and blue because your body will be black and blue. I played in one of those division games, and my body was beat up. That next day in the weight room, I'm on the bench press. One side of my body is lifting up the weight. The other side is struggling. And I'm just like, what is going on? I changed the weight, decreased it. Same thing. I just could not lift with the right side. Somebody recommended going to a chiropractor. I go to this chiropractor. They hooked me up. Got all these tubes and these patches and electrodes and all kind of stuff measuring my muscle function. On the right side of my body, it was about 15% muscle activity. So at some point, I must have pinched some nerve that shut down most of the right side of my body, all of the muscles that I used to move with. So that kind of explained it. It was shocking, but it explained it. I'm like, okay, that's why I'm struggling to lift weights in the weight room. And then the chiropractor said something I would never forget. He said, playing this game is rough. And I'm like, yeah, I've been playing it my whole life. And he's like, yeah, but going through what you go through, it's like getting in a car accident. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, it's like getting in a car accident. I'm like, wow, playing an NFL season is like getting in a car accident. He's like, no. Every time you get hit, it's like getting into a car accident. And I was like,
well, we talk about concussions, but
right.
Really we should be talking about car wrecks to let people understand exactly what, that feeling is like. It's not just your head trauma, if you have one, It's your body trauma. But I was also wondering about this, the bigger picture, the serious picture with Damar Hamlin. By the way, we're talking to Nate Burleson of CBS. Hopefully he gets out of the hospital. But he's in his second year. Who's going to take care of him? Like he's not vested. Would he have to have 3 years in the NFL now? So, and there's been a lot of stuff that's talked about on social media that prayers are great. But what happens to Damar Hamlin if he comes out, hopefully, can't play football? Then what happens? Medical costs there. I know Ryan Shazier that, the Steelers honored his contract and made him sort of a goodwill ambassador, but I think looking, no guaranteed contract here. What do you think? Yeah. Like, that's the reality of all of this. Not necessarily prayers, but hopefully he comes out. And then what is life like for this man?
Yeah. What if Damar Hamlin wasn't a guy that set up a GoFundMe for his charity and wasn't active in the community and didn't bring in the same type of money that he brought in? I think it's upwards to $6 or $7 million that maybe he can lean on financially once he gets done. But what if he is a guy that didn't have that outpouring of support financially from all over the world? That's the biggest question. You're spot on, DP. I just feel like when guys are playing this game and the money isn't guaranteed, and some young guys like this who are still trying to catch their footing and then secure a bag, their first contract, what happens if it all ends like that? And that's why we fight for lifetime insurance. And it seemed far-fetched when guys first started saying it. When you really pay attention to the game, it is so necessary. So you need 3 years, 3 games, the 3-3 to get vested for 5 years of insurance after you get done playing. And then after that, you're going to have to figure it out. We play our whole lives playing football to try to make it to the league. I think we should be rewarded with the rest of our lives being protected in an insurance policy that can help us with all of the aches and pains. One of the first meetings I ever remembered in the NFL was somebody coming in and basically hitting us with all the stats. Listen, you're going to die earlier than guys your age that didn't play football because of the game. Most likely you will have arthritis. before guys that you went to school with. And when it comes to major surgeries, whether it's a knee replacement, a hip replacement, you will be more likely to get those major procedures when it comes to you being done with football compared to guys your age. And with all that said, this young, cocky, full of himself, ego-driven, elite mindset, top 1% of an athlete, we're all sitting there like, I mean, it's good to hear, but it ain't gonna be me. You feel me? It ain't gonna be me. It ain't gonna be me. And that's how we think until you get on that field and you realize, it might be me.
Did they do the right thing? Are they going to do the right thing in the NFL? It feels like momentum is building to not make the Bills and Bengals resume that game, play that game again, that we just wipe it out and we do winning percentage for the seeded teams in the AFC. Yeah,
that's the right move. At this point, who cares about the result of what that game would have been? I mean, more importantly, I'm more concerned about the freedom that these guys are going to need to play with. And by that, I mean the physical freedom, going out there, pushing your body to play the game after seeing something like that. But more importantly, the mental freedom. What about the mental health of these guys? When all that happened, of course, at the forefront is Damar Hamlin and his family. Let me say that, be very clear. So I don't want to seem insensitive or dismissive. But then I started thinking about the players watching, tears streaming down their faces, sitting on knees. And then you look at the coaches and the staff. And then I start thinking about the stands, the fans, the adults and the kids. And then my mind just opened up and I'm like, what about everybody at home? That is traumatic for everybody involved. So if you know that it is traumatic visually to see something as jarring as that, these players, they need resources to at least have the option to go talk to somebody and then go back out on the field and do their job. Because with all of that said, I hate to say it, but it's something we say a lot in this business and media, and it applies to all sports. The show must go on because these guys get paid to play football.
If I let you come back and play with one quarterback, one game, current quarterback?
That is a tough question. Sheesh. Patrick Mahomes. It has to be because traditional drop back, 5-step, 7-step. I know if I hit my mark, he's going to put that ball exactly where I need it. I'll catch it in stride. It'll hit me in between the numbers. I'll run to the end zone. But more importantly, if I come out of that break and I'm playing up against a top-tier DB, somebody that's draped all over me, some young, cocky cornerback like Sauce Gardner or a vet like Jalen Ramsey, who really did a great job on that route. He breaks the pocket. Patrick Mahomes now rolling left. I get a secondary route. I'm getting draped all over, and then all of a sudden I see Pat move. Now I get to spin out of that and go to the end zone. There's no way. I don't care how good you are as a cornerback. There's no way you can stop me running 2 routes in one play. Sometimes I have time to run 3. I'm going here, and then I'm breaking deep because of the scramble rules that Patrick Mahomes plays with. So I would say Patrick Mahomes, it gives me more opportunity to make big plays.
But you could say you caught some passes from Tom Brady.
Yeah, but listen. He's gonna he's gonna hit me. He's gonna hit me on the spot. I'm gonna catch the ball, get the first down. I want big plays though. I want them big plays.
Are you younger than Brady?
I am younger than Brady. Yeah, I think Brady's mid 40s. I'm 41.
How crazy!
I've always wanted to play in New England though. I always listen. When I was a free agent. I was a free agent twice. When I was a free agent, my name floated around in the papers. They're like, who's interested in Nate Burleson? The fact that the Patriots showed just interest. I never got a call. My agent never said they really were interested. It was in the papers, and I felt like I made it. And I was in the middle of the NFL playing for teams, legitimately getting paid. But I was like, ooh, the Patriots like me. They're watching me. They know who I am.
You could have played with Tom Brady.
I could have. Well, listen, if I come out of retirement, I still can. He's playing till he's 50. You know what I'm saying? We know that.
Do you think he plays next year?
Hell yeah.
Where?
Listen. 3 spots. San Francisco, Tampa, of course. I would love to see Bruce come down from the booth. You had a year off. Come on, Bruce. Tom needs you.
Oh, wow.
Or back to New England. Those are the 3 spots.
Not Vegas.
Nah, I don't see Tom going to Vegas, man. I just don't see it. It would be great though, because you have a premier receiver and then you have a great running back at Josh Jacobs. I just don't see it.
Why would he go back to New England? Have you seen that offense?
I've seen that offense, but if you have somebody that come in and call that offense the way that Tom
They
wants
have
to
no
call
weapons, Nate. I mean, you'd have to ask Edelman and Gronk to come back.
listen, they'll go get some guys at free agency. They'll work in the draft like they always do. But more importantly, it might be bigger than football. He wants a hero's welcome. Every city we're naming, if he doesn't play well in San Francisco, they'll turn their back. If he doesn't play well in Vegas, they'll turn their back. If he goes back to New England, no matter what happens, they will love him.
Okay, you got Purdy Magic. Are you telling me if they would go to the Super Bowl that they would go, we're gonna bring in Tom here? They already got enough of a mess there with Garoppolo and Trey Lance.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. Listen, if Purdy takes them to the Super Bowl, it's a wrap. Now, I don't even think Trey Lance is seeing the field, and Garoppolo's gone.
Gayle King would be a skill position player for the Patriots right now.
No doubt, because she does her job. What do they say? Do your job.
Do your job.
She does it to the best of her ability. No doubt.
Great to talk to you.
Good to talk to you, too, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Good luck with your sons, and congrats on your success.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you always leading the way.
Thank you. That's Nate Burleson, NFL Today on CBS, the CBS Morning Show, former NFL wide receiver. We'll take a break. We have our play of the day coming up next year on The Dan Patrick Show.